Welcome to the Maude Le Roux YouTube channel. It's been a long time coming. So many have asked me to do a channel where they can access information on development freely. And as many webinars as I do and as many courses as I develop, I'm always looking for YouTube videos. Everybody that knows me knows I use YouTube quite a lot. But I'm always looking for, is there a channel that is dedicated to development solely? Development in children, and how development in children impacts all across the lifespan, and how it influences the choices we make, influences the occupations we follow, influences the kind of things we do to keep ourselves busy, our social lives. And so many channels are dedicated to parts and pieces of it, but not something that's fully looking just with the lens of looking at what development brings to the table from different frames. So we want to put a mental health frame on it. We want to put a physical frame on it, a sensory frame on it, social, emotional frame on it, a sense of self, my ego identity. We want to really look at this channel to give us information that we could research together. I want to invite you as a viewer to let me know, what is it that you need to know more about? All of you that has been known me over the years know that I love research. I love looking at what is new out there. So help me to know what it is that you need to know. This channel is made for you. For those of you who are struggling to figuring out, why is this child doing this in my center? Why is my child doing this at home? This channel is created also for professionals as well as for parents. We want to know as professionals, what are the things that parents struggle with? What are the things that we need to respond to and figure out why is some things happening and why are other things not happening that we would like to see? I want to build this channel for professionals to figure out, what is it that they are wanting to know, to build their skill level to a level where they feel comfortable in answering parents the questions that they need to answer. But I don't know everything. So as we journey this together, I'm looking forward to also learning from you, learning from your questions, learning from the things that you are looking at in your everyday experience. So maybe just a little bit about me. I'm an occupational therapist. That's my game. And yes, I'm a developmental occupational therapist. Not so fond of looking purely behavioral at something. Want to understand why. Chasing the why is important for me. I'm also an international trainer in several different methodologies and also several different courses that I've developed myself over the years. And I've built those courses based on the work that I've done with my colleagues, my wonderful team that's part of the Total Approach team in Glen Mills, Pennsylvania. And we are dedicated to serve our community. As we've also served the large international community over the past years, I've had multiple international visitors to our center. I want this YouTube channel to be about you. So I'm going to look forward to comments on the YouTube, to asking me questions about what is it that you want me to talk about. And the more I learn from you, of course, the more wider my repertoire also becomes. So it's a win-win for all of us. So let me know what those questions are. Please know also that I still do train extensively. And then I am away. I'll prepare some episodes before I leave on long trips. And then I can't always answer exactly. And so there will be some pre-recorded sessions coming up. But I will respond as soon as I can when I get back and develop sessions for those questions that come up most frequently. So I do look forward to interaction. So please subscribe, then you can know when the next episode is up or when something else has been posted so that you can be alerted. Maybe finally just saying that my journey has also been a journey of belief. A belief in the fact that that children do have a resilience that enables them to move, to mobilize, and that enables them to want to heal. I do believe that children often are resorting to behavior simply because we as professionals have gotten to the end of the game that we know to help them. Innately, all of us want to be good. Innately, every one of us do not want others to see us as people that are not good people. And children are no different. If they could, they would. And there's this firm belief that I carry with me in every session, in every webinar, that if we can take the current science and we can take the current information that's out there, the big thinkers, and see what they're thinking about, and we can add those pieces to our repertoire, we can serve families to a much higher level. So when we think about this developmental channel, we're going to be talking a lot about 3 different phases, and they're going to be pulled apart and then they're going to be put together again. But these 3 phases are integral to the work that we do at A Total Approach and a lot of the trainings that I provide. And this is that there's 3 phases of development that is clearly needed in order for a child to thrive by the age of 4. And in fact, these first webinar series sessions that you're going to be seeing, or installments, however we want to call them, they are going to be about explaining this developmental pathways model that we follow, our DPM model. And if you go through all of them, you'll basically already see my program. And then we will extrapolate and pull it apart and look at this issue, look at that issue, and see where people are needing for us to explain things from. And these 3 phases I call foundation, basically from utero to about 18 months. And then organization, basically from 18 months to about 2.5 years. And then from 2.5 to about 4 years, we talk about organization. So what's the foundation of the nervous system and my adaptive response to that? How do I organize on that nervous system from the foundation and my adaptive response to that? And then how do I use this to build constructive executive functioning skill by the age of 4 so I can be ready for the big boy and big girl school by the age of 5? And so, yes, there's a big continuum of ages and stages, and different people reach different things at different stages. So I'm not going to be very strong on it should be 18 or 20 or 22 months. I will give you what the research says on those ages and stages. But these levels are a little bit fluid, and they mix a little bit earlier for some, a little bit later for others, but they are the levels that we have to develop. And the strong piece about this is life has gotten faster, and we have been able to have Amazon one-day delivery. We can get our medication from the pharmacy through the window with just stopping the car. Everything is fast, and I can get something now. But development has not changed. And how do we keep up the pace of what development requires in the nervous system in a world that's moving faster and faster? We are going to be looking a lot at things like sensory motor skill. We're going to be looking at sensory modulation and its mental health compatriot, emotional regulation. I know there's always multiple questions in that area, so we will talk about that. We will also talk about gross motor development. We'll talk about fine motor development. We will talk about perceptual skill, and we will talk a lot about praxis and motor planning, as it's a pivotal point for many learning disorders. And I also believe for mental health disorders, things like ADHD, right? And so we want to explore those connections. We will also be looking at things like academic skill, because I can be looking at all these foundational pieces and structures and different hypotheses around that. But if I don't apply that to occupational function, number one, I won't do my profession a good service, but it's just not even functional for the child. So how does those early developmental pieces influence my drawing, my writing proficiency, my reading, my math, my executive skills, my written expression, the way I write an essay, my way I'm paying attention, my problem-solving approach to life, my inhibition of distractions, my goal setting, my goal persistence. How does all of that come together? Massive, massive amounts of information that's lying ahead of us. So we've done the sensory part. We looked at the academic part. Now, what about the emotional part, right? So when we think about emotional part, self-regulation, joint attention, how do we use a two-way communication to understand relationship and to work with relationship? How do we use pretend play in our play? How do we use symbolic thinking? How do we use our imagination? How are we creative? How do I become a person, a sense of self, an ego identity that I can rely on? When I've had an awful start in life and I haven't had all of the usual nourishment and nurture that I needed, how do I build that in myself, that I can also be somebody that has empathy, that can show empathy, that can show a willingness to understand somebody else's pain, so that I can contribute to a larger community? We want to know, how do I take it from emotional thinking to logical thinking? And how do I eventually get this beautiful left and right brain to talk to each other in a conducive, constructive way? So, development is big. And for many, development is something that we want to fly over. So many families come and say, "Oh, Maude, I just want my child to be social. We got him in school. He's learning alongside the other peers. He's doing quite well now. We got over the hurdle of the reading, and we just want him to be social." And I'm like, let's start at the very beginning. Because social is driven by emotional, is driven by setting up the empathy pathway with mirror neurons and imitation, Jacoboni's research, from the very get-go. So we do have to consider early development. This channel is for you. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for listening. Let me know who you are. Take care.